Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia, and welcome back to another episode of Model Railroading Adventures with Bill. This week I am continuing on the O-scale build and making some progress. Today I've been adding some Cork Road Bed in that I bought off eBay. It was some older material but not totally dried out, so still a little flexible. But what I did to make it a little bit easier to work with around some of these tight 24-inch radius curves is I notched the outside radius ever so often just to kind of give it where it could pull apart ever so slightly. And then on the inside curve of each piece, I took out chunks. You can see it here, 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 and here. And I did that on all of the curve sections. Reason I did that is that, if you're working with cork and you're trying to go around a fairly tight curve, it tends to want to bunch, and then it's harder to get it to lay smooth and flat. It's kind of can get wrinkles. It's just, frustrating. By doing this, I have found that I can eliminate that. It makes it easier to make the curve. There's less stress put into the cork, so it fits better. And I'm happy with the results so far. You'll also see a lot of yellow on the plywood. I'm using full strength carpenter's glue to lay the cork. I know where the track is going to go. For the O scale, it's pretty easy. I've had trains running a little bit on at least part of it. Still have to do work over here. Those are not connected. Again, when I figure out where the bridges are going to go, I'll work on that piece. So I can get this piece in all the way through here, up through there, and around, and then over to right there. So that's something I'm going to be working on this week. Another thing that I've been working on is I've been starting to run the bus wires for this part of the layout. You can see there a terminal strip that I've split in half with red and black because there's only a couple of them coming off here. So bus wires coming along under the track. I'll drop feeders, maybe about every couple of joiners, because it seems like it gets good power already. And then coming over here, I've got a set going over, which I know that the area right here where the two pieces come together, that's going to be kind of flat or hilly mountains. Again, I want to hide the seam, so I know that I can run a feeder up into this area. Same thing, a little farther up, I'll run something else for the middle section as well. But that'll come in a little bit later. So just kind of coming over this way, you can see more of the wires. I will get some like tacks so that I can have these wires up and underneath on the plywood so they're out of the way. So if I ever do need to get underneath them, I'm not going to be bumping my head or snagging them. They'll be tucked up nicely. You can also see how I'm going to connect the two sections, just a simple little electrical joiner, so I can take it apart real quick, and that's probably temporary. I'll probably come up with a little bit nicer connector for that. But you can see my bus wires just kind of run temporarily over on the other corner piece. Take care of that later. You do see a cluster of wires coming up to the front here. What I have done in this area is I put in two simple toggle switches, off, on. Same thing, on, off. And what these are, this is going to be for my two staging tracks that are going to come in. Like one through here, which I've got press right now, where I've just glued some Cork Road Bed down. I leave the blocks of wood on it for about an hour, and then that carpenter's glue has a really strong bite. Then I'm going to move on to the next piece. But these I'll be able to isolate, like I explained before. I can have a train on this one, I can have a train on the other one. It'll be electrically isolated from the layout 100%, so that when I want to run a different train, I can have switch set this way and I can run whatever train is on this track, I can park it, then I can come over to whatever train is on this track, again set the switches the different way, and I can come over here and simply control it this way. Very simple on-off toggles, just a mini board. So that should work. So I'll see what else I can get done on this. Be doing odds and ends each evening this week after work. So more to come. So I'm interrupting this layout update for a couple of segments on a hobby shop haul that just was delivered today. Past week has not been good for my family. My mother broke her hip, had to have surgery, and she's doing okay now. She's in a skilled nursing home. But as a result, I spent some time back in Iowa, and I went to my favorite hobby shop, Caboose Stop Hobbies. Bought a lot of stuff, and I shipped it to myself. What's interesting is that I shipped it Tuesday afternoon. Here it is, it's Thursday evening, and the box came this afternoon. So to go just standard ground from Iowa to Virginia only took a little over a day. I'm a happy camper. They didn't even forecast it to get here until Friday. So anyway, I'm going to open it up, take all the goodies out that I bought. Some of them are going to be used for this layout. I've got some stuff for both the HO and N scale layouts as well. So a mixed bag. So let's take a look at it. So definitely an eclectic mix of materials from this hobby shop visit. On the N scale side, not that, number of tank cars. As you know, on my HO scale, I've got a lot of tankers. So on the N scale now, I will have some additional tank cars. So when I'm running from HO scale to N scale, I can have trains that are similar to go from one layout, in a sense, to the other, as I change scales. Also picked up a few Rock Island box cars. This one I just lost the pin for. It's underneath the O-scale benchwork. I'll find it when I move it. A couple of other nice little N-scale items. A nice little tractor, John Deere tractor. Actually, the wheels turn. Really nice. A little hot rod. I can put one of the parking lots on the N-scale. And then a couple of additional cars that I can put up in the city of Alta. This is really important stuff that came from this box. It's a variety of electrical wire. And as you've seen in that very first segment, I've got a lot of wiring done, but I need additional wire for my switches. So I got some wire there, either yellow or green, not sure what I'm going to use, but that will help me further the O-scale progress. HO scale. Couple of metal kits. Price was good. It's like a cat kit, so that ought to be interesting. A little Studebaker. Couple of cars that are actually 3 cars for my layout. This one and that one can go on the HO scale. This is too new, but that'll go on display up in my office. Nice little stake truck kit. $4. Price was definitely right on that one. Couple of John Deere tractors that can go in there. On the O-scale side, I started to pick up a couple of kits, Wheelworks kit, as well as, what have I got here, an REA Express kit. I'll have some fun with that, as well as a older John Deere tractor, which is pretty close to scale for O-scale. This is 1:50, so a little smaller, but I can put it somewhere up in the scenery a little bit here on this O-scale as I get farther along. Should be okay. Also picked up some Magnomatic O-scale couplers. I got a bunch of Atlas cars, AHM freight cars that have the old style couplers on it, but they are 2-rail. I can start to switch out a few. I don't need many, just a few. Picked up this little guy as well. This was on clearance for like $3. Nice O-scale type model. A few O-scale people metal, different castings here that I can paint, a couple that were painted. Picked up this too, a nice little work vise that I can do odds and ends on. Could not pass up tree kits for $2. They only make a handful of them, of the trees from each kit, but that will work well, that I can add just a little bit of variety as I start to plant forests on my layout. So I think that's going to be pretty good. So that's what I've got. Next segment is going to have me farther along on the wiring. A lot of that's going to be gone because I'll have a lot more of this in place. I'm still gluing down cork, and I'll be starting to do some track work because I did get some joiners as well from a separate purchase. So I can start soldering on feeders, and this next segment on this particular video will probably wrap it up for the week, and we'll see where we go. Well, on this segment, I am back working on the O-scale layout. I got rail joiners in this week, and I am making my own powered joiners. So I'm using some of the wire that I got in the last segment. I opted to use yellows and blues for my feeders, dropping down to my red and black bus wire. Reason for that is I had a lot of it, and it'll be enough to do the O-scale piece, and then I've got other colors that I'll use for the ON30, which gets built on top of this. So what I've done, and I did this as a similar method for both the HO and the N scale, is that I took just a piece of track right here and kind of moved it back, or moved enough so that the rail pieces were not obstructed by ties or clips, whatever it might be. Put a joiner on, and it's upside down. So I've got that there. I take a diamond file and I just lightly rough up the backs, and I've already done that on these joiners. That gives me better adhesion to the solder, excuse me, when I'm putting it on. At least I found that. Some other guys who are much more proficient with their soldering probably don't need to do that method, and they do it fine. I'm using flux. Now, you do have problems if you use a lot of flux. So what I do is I put the wire tips in. First part of it, I'll get a little bit on the wire, not much, and I'll use that to spread on the back of the joiner. So just that little dab on the wire will cover both joiners where I'm wanting the connection to be made. Then I will get my little solder out, and my soldering gun, which is already preheated. I'll just get a little dab on it, and I will put, basically tin the wire. Then I come in, pick up just a little bit more solder, and just set it right on down, and that's it. It's on. It's not going anywhere, and I've got it ready for the layout. So I'm going to do the other side and a whole bunch more, and then I'm going to start actually getting ready to power up my track on my O-scale. So more to come. Well, this segment will wrap up this video. I've got my feeders in place. Still got to drill holes and tap them into the bus, but I've got a couple of them wired right now. And my train is running, or I should say my engine. So not bad with a total of 2 feeders powering it. I think I might have overdone it a little bit. This O-scale engine is plugging along. I'm going to work on the O-scale steam engine. I had a nut back off on one of the pins for a driver rod, and I've got to fix it. And then I'm going to put it on and see what I can do with it. But I got a lot of feeders to wire in. I've still got to tack up some of the wiring. But I'm making some progress. I think that's going to be it for today. So everybody keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.